Welcome back to Up Close. A week from Tuesday, swearing in to the 56th governor of New Jersey, a Democrat for the first time in 8 years, a Democrat who, by the way, has never held elected office before, just like the last Democrat who was governor of New Jersey, a Democrat who was an executive at Goldman Sachs, just like the last Democrat who was governor of New Jersey. So what kind of governor will Phil Murphy be, and how does he accomplish his agenda? Joining us this morning, the head of the Murphy transition team, Jose Lozano. He also served as former Governor John Corzine's transition team leader and served as Deputy Chief of Staff for the Environmental Protection Agency under the man called President Obama. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Nice to see you and meet you.
Yeah, same here.
So what's this job like? I mean, it's not, this is like a vacation for you. Taking off and coming
absolutely.
Here, right?
To get 30 minutes away of not focusing on the transition is actually pretty cool.
Well, congratulations. Glad to be of help, Mr. Lozano. What's it like?
Number one, it's extremely long hours. We're working 7 days a week. The transition started the morning after the election, and it's been it's a 70-day sprint until the day of the inauguration. Other than you've got multiple phone calls, multiple constituencies, balancing out the governor's priorities. We've got a cabinet to fill, senior folks to fill out, interview, make map out the first 100-day type of agenda. It's enough to keep folks sleepless.
It's not unlike, although it's a smaller scale, than what the president has to do in a very short amount of time between the inauguration and back timing it to the election day.
That's right. Right, but the feds have a little bit of an advantage. Most transitions in the presidential cycles tend to officially start before election. In New Jersey, they don't really officially kick off until the morning afterwards. But luckily, we had a little bit of the foresight, and you can never plan too early. And we started to map things out back shortly right after Labor Day, in case of the chance that he was going to win the election. We wanted to hit the ground running.
Right, and so you did. The polls certainly showed you that you were winning big time.
We did.
The question is, with your to-do list, when you hit the ground running the day after the election.
It's more like a scroll, not a to-do list.
Okay, whatever the scroll is, like a Torah or something.
Right.
How accomplished have you been? How many things have you been able to check off, and how far behind are you?
Okay, we have been exactly where we want to be. We have been able to announce more than half of the cabinet. We have identified the senior leaders of the front office. We are identifying key folks in each of the agencies and departments. We have a team finalizing what his inaugural speech will look like. And we have a team mapping out what his first few months, including the first budget, is going to start to look like. So we're exactly, I think, where we want it to be. What's great is we did a lot of planning beforehand. We started talking about the structure and the process we wanted to use. So the morning after the election, we hit the ground running.
You have your good shoes on, I see, but I'd like to get into the weeds and walk in the weeds with you a little bit about the first 100 days.
Sure.
What is the most important thing? Obviously, the budget comes out of nowhere. He's never been an elected official. He has been an executive, but it's very different when you're talking about a government.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, unfortunately, the process of the budget is you tend to start it by the end of the late summer, with the intent of you start to work with OMB and the key agency and department folks in early fall, with the intent you start to map it out by the holidays, and you start to do some finishing touches right after the new year and present it by February. Governor-elect Murphy's a little bit behind schedule on that sense, but we have a great team that we've brought in from folks that have from past experience and from past administrations, key budget folks that have worked through the budget processes, and we've already started to map out what that will look like. We're hoping that the governor-elect, by the end of February, early part of March, he'll be able to outline his priorities in the budget.
Let's look at exactly what you're talking about.
Sure.
I think we're going to start with what everyone is talking about, and that is the Trump GOP tax reform plan, because it's going to affect people in New Jersey.
That's right.
And not necessarily in a good way, because they're getting rid of most deductions.
That's right.
So there have been some talk already. There's been some talk already about somehow figuring out a way to get New Jerseyites away, or New Jerseyans away, to make deductible that which will no longer, which was not going to be deductible. SALT. State and local income and sale and property taxes.
The governor-elect has assembled a team to start to look at and start to put everything's on the table.
Time's flying by, so I want to get right into some yes or no questions. Marijuana. The federal government now cracking down on medical marijuana and recreational use of marijuana. New Jersey wants to change this. Governor-elect Murphy wants to make this a big deal. You're going to go right head-to-head with the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions.
That's right. So he has assembled some healthcare professionals, some key law enforcement officials, to actually start to map out how one could actually look like if it were to be legalized.
Okay. What about pensions? It was a big debate, a big issue during the campaign. In New Jersey, one of the worst deficits of pensions and funding them of any state, maybe the worst in the country. How do you deal with that without raising taxes dramatically?
Yeah, I look, again, the governor-elect, it's a little early to tell, but the governor-elect needs to start to assemble. What's really good about Governor-elect Murphy and different than anyone else, he's been a diplomat, right? He's been 4 years as the ambassador to Germany. He knows diplomacy. He knows about bringing the right folks to the table to actually have the conversations and try to find a path forward on pensions.
You were in the transition leadership team for John Corzine.
Right.
You now have another Goldman Sachs executive who had never had elected office before. You know, John Corzine, a lot of people liked him, but a lot of people would say he was not the greatest governor in the history of New Jersey. That's what a lot of people would say. How are you going to make this different?
Again, he has assembled a great team. We have had an opportunity where most other governors have not had in the past, where all the things that are going on in Washington, D.C. has allowed us to recruit some of the best folks in the country to be his cabinet. He's assembled an amazing senior team that's actually going to help him pave the way, the right way to do things in New Jersey.
Really briefly before we say goodbye, former Governor Brendan Byrne died this past week. Yeah. I know you knew him. You think highly of him. What does his passing mean for the history of New Jersey?
You know, it was a tough loss. I know he was quite close to Governor-elect Murphy. He will still be someone that we truly miss, but at the same time, he was an icon, and I know he will be sorely missed. Okay. It's a tough loss for New Jersey.
All right, Jose Lozano. Good luck with the rest of the transition.
Thank you.
You're going to stay on, or you're going to go back to private sector?
No, I'm going back to Hackensack Marine Health.
All right. Jose, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll glad to have you back on, by the way. Coming up next, so how big is your nuclear button? If you're President Trump, is that what you should be talking about when discussing the complicated foreign policy situation that is North Korea and its dictator? Whoever thought we would be talking about this on Up Close? But we are. Next with our political director, Rick Klein.